Good evening everyone, Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important live video update tonight. So the talk of the town right now, especially in Melbourne, is all of this push for this COVID-19 testing. Now I know a lot of the other states are bringing it in, it's happening in New Zealand, but it's really being pushed hard in Melbourne. So I want to discuss that tonight. Because it's a big issue. So I spoke on my last video about the Freedom of Information response that one of our members got from the Department of Health and Human Services that said quite clearly there is no 100% accurate test for COVID-19 in Australia, period. Okay, now people have been asking, where do I get a copy of that actual Freedom of Information response? Well, we've put that up online now on our vaccinations page. You'll find it about halfway down. You can click on the link, you can download it there for yourselves. Now, the other issue is, some people have gone online going, oh, but there's no 100% accurate test for anything, so it's really meaningless. And look, you do kind of have a point, but let me put that in perspective. Now, this is going back about a month or so ago. There was a report, and it was on the Channel 7 News, and here it is here. And again, we've got a copy of this news article on that vaccinations page. You can find it there, you can download it. And it says, coronavirus kits slammed as dirty game after paw tested positive. It says a paw and a goat, okay, have tested positive for coronavirus in Tanzania, according to its president. President John Magufuli has slammed imported testing kits as a dirty game and accused laboratories of lacking credibility. The equipment of people may be compromised and sometimes it can be sabotaged, Magufuli said in a Swahili speech broadcast live through state-run TBC, according to news agency AFP. That means there is a possibility for technical errors or these imported reagents have issues. Probably the technicians are also bought to mislead. He said he secretly had a variety of animals, fruits and petrol tested using the kits. According to Magufuli, a papaya, a quail and a goat tested positive. Okay, so clearly these COVID-19 tests are unreliable, okay, and at best they're very questionable. Now, again, there's copies of that article and that FOI response on the vaccinations page on our website. Now, we've also seen posts on our Facebook page from nurses who were getting very concerned about the number of positive tests that were supposedly coming through. So what they've done is they've just got blank swabs and sent them off for testing, and they've come back positive. So they know that the numbers are being played. Okay, the powers that be, the elite, are manufacturing the numbers of these positive tests. This is all about this second wave. Okay, this next level of control. Okay, please look into this. All right. Now, apart from being completely unreliable, why else should you not have one of these COVID-19 tests? Well, here's another post from Facebook that gives you a very clear example of why. So this is entitled, it says, some interesting feedback from contact testing from a friend's post. My brother was recently contacted by a tracer because his girlfriend's brother-in-law, who had no symptoms, went to a testing site and apparently tested positive. They traced everyone he was near, which included my brother. My brother then got a phone call telling him he was exposed and also told him they now have to document him as having COVID, even though he has no symptoms, just because he hasn't been tested. They apparently did this to around 20 associated friends. So because one guy was curious and tested positive, 21 new cases were added to the numbers. Now imagine that extrapolated across the country. Someone questioned that if you ever had a flu shot up to 10 years ago, you will still test positive for COVID. Now, it seems there are many questions that we need honest answers to. So a very powerful post there. Now, please remember, especially if you're in Melbourne, if you're in one of these hotspots, They are only requesting that you undergo testing. There's currently no mandatory requirement for it, although they are pushing hard for that. Now, again, on that post, there's another Facebook post. This is from someone who's in Melbourne, in Victoria, who's actually spoken to the police about this. And it says, I just spoke to the police from 2 hotspots in Victoria, Reservoir and Pakenham. Everyone needs to relax and calm down. Here's 3 points. Police are checking in on people who recently tested positive to make sure they're self-isolating. They are also checking in on travellers coming in from overseas to make sure they are self-isolating. Okay, I was dumbfounded to find this out, as my original source, a mental health nurse working at Crown Promenade, said travellers were quarantined in hotels. I was told there are actually too many people and not enough hotel rooms to cater. The police officers explained the whole process and said that they've been assigned to visit the homes of people who tested positive and check they are following the guidelines, i.e. staying home. They said they are not checking temperatures or giving tests. They also said without a warrant, no police officer can come into your home, something that we've said here on the last few updates. Without a warrant, you are able to ask them to leave if you do not want to comply. Now, DHHS or Army members, but with a doctor, will be knocking on doors asking if you'd like to get tested on the spot, but it is not compulsory. You can say no thank you and they will walk away. If you are confused, scared, angry, in fear, please call your local police station and ask them about the door knocking. They are very cooperative and will explain the process to you. And she goes on to say, no, both police officers read the protocol to me once I asked them to. Okay, so don't freak out about this, but most importantly, make sure that you know your rights. Now, on that point, as I say on most of these videos, if you don't yet have this book, the essential step-by-step manual for understanding and exercising your rights, please grab it. Grab it now. There is a link to our website in the description on this video. We have an entire chapter on mandatory vaccinations, and a lot of the documents in that can obviously be adjusted and amended to suit the mandatory testing, as well, of course, of all the other great chapters and topics that we cover in this book. Now, ScoMo's already talking about potentially bringing in fines for people who refuse testing. Okay, so he's pushing towards that. This is why we need people standing up, we need people resisting this, and we need people challenging this and, of course, asking questions. Now, speaking of fines, if you're worried about fines at all, grab the Aussie Speeding Fines book. More people are out and about. It's school holidays in most places now, so people are trying to at least move around a little bit, even though they're still sort of locked down to some degree. We've heard a bunch of people getting all kinds of fines now for all sorts of crazy things. Remember, after lockdown, the government coffers dried up, so they're trying to raise as much revenue as possible. So again, grab this Aussie Speeding Fines book if you're at all concerned about any type of fines, and again, there's a link in the description. Okay, and finally, we know a lot of people are still hurting. They're still suffering the financial implications of all this COVID pandemic. Okay, they're struggling with credit card debts. They're struggling with personal loan repayments. Grab this Bank Secrets Revealed book. It has the 4-step process for challenging any unsecured debt. It also gives you the letter that you need to send to your bank to find out if your home loan, if your mortgage could be one of the $500 billion, okay, that's $500 billion worth of liar loans that's been confirmed to exist in Australia right now, and then, of course, what you can do about it. This book alone could save you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, and again, there's a link in the description to this video. So, as we're about to embark on yet another weekend, as always, go to the websites that are in the description. Have a read over all of the free information that's there. Then, if you like what you see there, if you like what you read, you want to find out more, then please, by all means, grab those books. But whatever you do, as we come up to another weekend, some people have got more restrictions, some people have, relaxed restrictions to some degree, but now more than ever, it's so important to get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you all again on Sunday night.